job of 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the 60 of Chris Buescher.
Getting it full of Sunoco fuel. They've got to stretch this run out. Now pitting on lap 25, completed working lap 26, Ricky, of 90.
Yeah, they feel like they're in their window. So we're looking at 32 for each of the next 2 segments. And it's certainly reasonable, particularly if we get caution.
They've done a good job in that 60 team. Calculating fuel this year, they had a long distance run. Long distance run at New Hampshire earlier this year, did the 60. And that sounds like the 54.
If I'm a crew chief for any of these cars that haven't pitted yet, I'm telling them, look, be very conservative. There's something going on with pit road here where drivers aren't paying attention. A lot of penalties early.
Got to be very, very careful as Hornish and Tagliani will hit pit road. Sam locking him just a little bit. Second and third pitting at exactly the same time. Very, very slow, 35 miles per hour, keeping their cars on the pit road speed. Rick DeBrule?
And they were just warning Alex Tagliani about the pit speed, concerned that he would make that mistake. He comes in, simple plan, 4 tires, no adjustments. He likes the car just the way it is, Vince.
It's going to be a 4-tire change and a chassis adjustment for the 54 of Sam Hornish Jr. Says he just does not have enough grip in the rear end of the car. Sunoco fuel as well. Clean off the grill, pull a little tape off the grill as well, and the 54 is down and away.
We'll keep our ears to NASCAR and see if there's anything that comes across in terms of penalties for these guys. Hopefully not. As Trevor Bayne has hit pit road in the 6 car. He's full of fuel. Got some tires changed as well.
Pit stops are a fundamental for NASCAR drivers, but don't mistake that for it being easy. Drivers have this urgency and this adrenaline, and then they have to just flip a switch, right, and bring it down. Vince, what do you have on the 20?
Well, that's Kenny Habul, and of course you saw him go off course. There doesn't seem to be any significant damage. They made a chassis adjustment, took some tape off the grill as well. Otherwise, pretty simple and routine stop for the 20.
Right front of James Buescher, down on the 99.
Wow.
Another one, Ricky.
Alex Tagliani, too fast exiting. That's going to leave a mark.
Leader beware. Brian Scott on pit road, giving up the lead for the first time. The 2 car comes to Vince.
The others, Dave, the problem with the 2 is just the lacking of the grip. Don't know if that's from the Trans Am cars and the rubber that was on before, but all up and down pit road, everybody looking for grip, especially through the S's. Chassis adjustment, 4 tires for Brian Scott in under 15 seconds.
Scott is gone. Regan Smith on pit road in the 7. A lot of activity right now as many teams are within their fuel window, and there's a full course caution right now. Looks like these guys got on the pit road before it closed. And that looks like the carcass from James Buescher's right front.
Yeah, it's a 2.25 mile track, and it's unlikely when a tire goes down that it's not going to come apart before you can get to pit road.
No interliners are run on these Goodyear Racing Eagles. You see Derek Cope with a bit of a grass situation there in the 70 car. So once you're done with the tire, you're riding on the rim. Caution out for the 2nd time today here at Mid-Ohio. James Buescher will go to pit road for service. Lead changing on track as some of the leaders have made their first round of pit stops. What a day of action so far at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course, and we expected nothing less. Brian Scott with a great jump to the lead in the 2nd turn of the very first lap. But from there it got very, very interesting. Brendan Gaughan off track, and then Jeffrey Earnhardt flying into the China Beach of turn 4.
Yeah, he came into turn 4 with no brakes. You see the right front locks up. The rest of them are along for the ride. Sam Hornish underneath Alex Tagliani, a little bit of a bump. You know, we've seen that go back and forth. Trevor Bayne, a bump. As I said, it's not always a gentleman's game.
And then Dylan Kwasniewski off track, and Kenny Habul through the gravel trap in turn 4 again, as he did in practice. This is what it sounds like.
Big save by Elliott Sadler. Back to the accelerator in 2nd gear, and it nearly gets away from him. Saves it. It comes at a price, as he had to hit pit road, and then the 99. Right front tire goes down.
Yep, James Buescher with the problems. And a rash of pit road penalties for speeding. And then this for the 3 of Ty Dillon. They're having power steering issues, and they are on pit road taking a hard look at what they can do for that championship contender. More action to come here from Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to the Nationwide Children's Hospital 200 from Lexington, Ohio. It's the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. 2¼ miles of mostly fun and mostly great racing, but problems for the 3 of Ty Dillon, who came in as one of the 4 championship contenders at the top of the field today, Rick.
So for the pump to come off, you got to break 2 fittings loose. The belt's got to go back on. You got to adjust it. Then you got to top off the fluid and hope you don't have any air in the system. That's asking a lot.
And Ty asked his crew, do you want me to just stick it out this afternoon? Why would they choose not to do that and let their driver have the Armstrong steering?
Because you're not going to win the race. There's just no way that a driver in the race car can be won without power steering. You just don't have the feel.
Vince?
Well, and so far the change is going a little bit longer than what they were hoping. They were hoping to not lose anything more than a lap, as they've certainly lost the lap by now. And this would be the 2nd lap if they came around. So they're trying to replace the box. The first one is out. Now they're just trying to get the new one installed. Jim?
Well, Vince, it's kind of sparse down here on pit road in terms of personnel. That's because a lot of teams, such as Regan Smith's behind me, have sent guys to the garage to get this, rain tires. There's a little cell in the area. It is definitely clouded up. Now, I'm not a meteorologist. I leave that to Craven. But teams are thinking about that, and they have gone to the garage to get those rain tires just in case.
As far as we can tell, Trevor Bayne, the only team with the wiper installed on here. And NASCAR's changed their rule just a little bit in terms of the rain tire issue. They're not going to mandate when they come down and put on the rain tires, but when they call it a rain race per se, they'll give the teams the option then to come down and put those rain tires on when they want to.
I qualified in the rain in Japan one year. My advice would be, if you get the chance to do it, don't.
Ricky Craven, a meteorologist, stock car driver, mostly on slicks. Brian Scott with the lead at Mid-Ohio. Under our 2nd caution here at Mid-Ohio, but under a lot of apprehension right now with some speeding penalties and mechanical issues. And our top 5 look like this right now as they run heading to the championship. It's been a very interesting thing to watch so far, Ricky.
Yeah, and there's a portion of this that's just being dealt a bad hand as it relates to Ty Dillon. Do you make the change or not? Boy, they've really struggled to make this change under the hood.
So right now, according to our timing and scoring, 31st position for Ty Dillon, 1 lap behind the rest of the field.
They can recover from that.
Brian Scott is the leader as we go back to green here at Mid-Ohio. Three wide deep in the field. The overhead shot giving you a great view of everything going on in the restarts. Scott had a great takeoff. Here's Hornish for the lead to the inside.
Yeah, Sam came in late with a lot of speed, and now he's gonna take the spot on the exit.
Sam Hornish, your new leader here at Mid-Ohio. 2 by 2 behind him.
Regan Smith with a look under Brendan Gaughan. Going to high gear here. And just throw a shift in there to make it a little extra hard.
Brian Scott with a peak, but Hornish so far holding the advantage. Smith and Gaughan 2 by 2 through these tight corners.
It won't work all the way through the S's. That's my guess.
Tagliani and Elliott, the same thing behind him, Ricky.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to give. It just gets really crowded as we get up into 7, 8, and then 9. 9 would be disaster to go double wide up over the top of the hill.
Great racing at the restart and a chance to take your positions while you can.
There's 9. And you can't see over the top. And once you get to the top of the hill, then you can find your marker, use all the racetracks set up for 10 and 11. That was some great driving.
And Regan Smith through to 5th. Now Tagliani in 6th. Here comes, and into the back of Chase Elliott goes Trevor Bayne.
You remember earlier in the race I mentioned that you got to make a late entry, but by doing that, you leave a gap. And that's what Trevor did. He stuck his nose in there. So it's a very defensive corner.
Still very close to the 9. See if he can gain some ground here. Brian Scott letting Hornish know he's not giving up. and Chris Buescher just lurking in third. You're on board with Hornish.
As you watch the drivers enter the corners, you get a pretty good idea of how hard they're trying and how stable their cars are. The 60 car running third looks the most stable to me. Brian Scott's done a great job today, but even leading, he looked like he was busy. Look at that kick out. A lot of elevation change here, 136 feet from high to low. Just part of the challenge of competing on this 13-turn course.
And Ricky, the drivers wanted to talk to us about the fact that the braking points here versus a Road America where it's mostly straight line, it seems like whenever you're doing the braking, your car is off balance. Very different here.
Yeah, with the exception of entering the keyhole in turn 4, you're actually asking the car to slow down with the brake and turning in at the same time. And these cars don't do that well. The fact is, no car can do two things well at the same time, but these are really challenged to do that.
Brian Scott looking for a way by. He's going to try it on the outside into the keyhole.
Ooh, a little bit of a lockup right front. Sam Hornish.
Contact. Brian Scott, contact back. Hornish fights back. Here comes Chris Buescher.
Sam has position going into turn 4. The risk is that they run too deep into the corner here.
Who can outbrake who and who can be stable?
Yeah, and that was really interesting because Brian Scott used some good judgment. Now he's going to try to execute the crossover, but he's got his mirror full with Chris Buescher.
He is feisty today. Brian Scott trying to get back around Sam Hornish.
2's company, 3's a crowd. Don't look now. Here comes Brendan Gaughan. We're going to make it 4.
Not even backing off, seeing the action up in front of him, taking his opportunity, following his line, and closing back up to the lead. Here's some of that great racing and contact.
It was a sort of a counterintuitive move to go to the outside through the keyhole because it's an off-camber right hand downhill, but he nearly makes it work, and he squeezes Sam Hornish a little bit, and boy, did Sam give him a nudge. Nice save by Brian Scott, but because they were preoccupied with one another, they slowed down. It brought Chris Buescher into the equation. Right here. See Brian Scott come back across the front of Sam Hornish? That's why they call it driving.
They were busy, busy, busy. And Chris Buescher didn't stick his nose in there. I think he thought he was going to inherit the lead. Vince?
You know, one of the things Brian Scott has said this weekend is that in the past at a road course, he felt like he was too defensive in his driving. Today, he said, I'll be more aggressive. If I have an error, it's going to be on the aggressive side. We've seen some of that aggression here in the early on, but his crew just told him, take care of your stuff. We've got a long way to go. We want to be there in the end.
In fact, Vince, he told me, I tried to be less aggressive, and it just didn't work. I got run over. I got off my rhythm. He said, I'm treating super speedways and road course racing very aggressively now.
Dave, that's an excellent point. When you're a rookie, there's so much expected of you, and you know, behavior is part of it, right? It's like, what, you know, everybody's watching you and how you handle situations. Sometimes you become so conservative that you're not in your element and it's not instinctive anymore. Like you're overthinking the whole job. Relax and race like it's fun, and you'll be amazed with the results you can get.
Here you look at Brendan Gaughan and the 62, the 22 of Alex Tagliani. Tagliani restarted 8th on lap 33. He's now 5th. He's gained a position each lap since the restart. Rick DeBrol?
Well, remember, he had that speeding penalty that he was 5 miles an hour over at the end of the pit straight going out. But when he went back out, Jeremy Bullins was very specific. He said, look, don't try to get them all at one time. Just pick them off one at a time. That's exactly what he's been doing. Now he's going after Brendan Gaughan. Jim?
And speaking of the 62, Rick, how about Brendan Gaughan and Shane Wilson? Brendan Gaughan last race before this weekend in Mid-Ohio at the age of 16 in a driving school. Crew chief Shane Wilson has never seen this place, but they have combined for a top 4 so far. Brendan Gaughan being very meticulous. The key to him, keep heat in the tires. In fact, they put a pair of scuffs on the last pit stop to make that happen a bit quicker.
Thanks, guys. Now, Tagliani's going to take over that 4th position. Very interesting. NASCAR passed along a couple of bits